Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, and welcome to Forecast Update Live, a video series from Ever.Ag Insights, where each month we gather to discuss our dairy market forecast. I'm your host, Jon Spainhour. We're joined today by Erica Maedke, Kathleen Wolfley, and Plourd. To get us started, Erica, please run us through the highlights of this month's forecast as compared to last month's.
Hi, John. We're all digging the sweater today and the jacket. So wanted to just give you a shout out on that. From our forecast perspective, most of the commodities are down. Butter and powder, both pretty notable. A couple of pennies on powder, butter running down, nickels and dimes. Cheese is also down a couple of nickels and dimes as we look through the rest of the year and into 2026. The bright spot in the forecast is the whey complex, bringing that up nickels and dimes.
Thanks, Erica. Okay, each month we ask our panelists to take either the bull side of the story or the bear side of the story. This month, Kathleen has agreed to take the bull side. Take it away, Kathleen, and let us know what you're seeing out there that seems bullish.
Well, I'm a pinch hitter here today, John, and nothing like pinch hitting with a really difficult case. I have the bullish case, like you said. How about low prices tend to cure low prices? So we're sitting today with cheese prices in the 160s on spot, 160s on the futures market. I think that there's a chance that we could see a little bit more aggressive promotional activity, maybe a few more value items hit the wires as we look at food service operations if we continue to see those prices moving lower. It's a similar story in butter. We're heading into the holiday season. There's a lot of opportunity for retailers to more aggressively promote for the holidays. And certainly we've seen these lower butter prices heading into the holidays, which has given people lots of leeway and lots of time to pen those promotions. So I suspect that there is a chance we could see some low prices cure low prices on the retail side.
Kathleen, there's also, low prices encourage demand, but they also discourage supply, right? It's sort of a two sides of the spectrum, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly we've seen from a income over feed or milk income over feed perspective at the farm level, those values, those margins have come down pretty substantially in the last several months. And I think that producers, at least once they see their November and December milk checks, will be sitting up a little straighter. There's an opportunity that we could see belts tighten, few more cows go to slaughter, and perhaps a little bit of lighter milk production growth as we head into the tail end of this year and on into early 2026. So we are in a position where we could see a little less milk in the U.S. if producers do respond to those lower milk prices.
Certainly a different picture in that regards today than it was just 6 weeks ago.
I'd say, too, from an international perspective, butter exports are one of the biggest bullish items that I'm looking at. We're still sitting at about $1 discount to the European value. So where there's opportunity for the U.S. to win on value into the international marketplace, I think that the butter market is where we will see it. And I think a lot of those folks on the butter export side of things have done a lot to build a lot of reputation and build relationships with butter buyers internationally in the last several months. So I suspect that there is an opportunity we could see some pretty good butter exports to start the year.
Thanks, Kathleen. Okay, Erica, you've agreed to take the bear side of the story. Take it away and let us know what you're seeing out there that leans bearish this month.
Well, I'll toss Kathleen one more softball, and that's anything that has to do with whey, particularly high protein whey. So our colleague got back from supply side with a lot of demand notes on the bullish side of whey. But I think on the bearish side, we're looking at more milk, more components, just more dairy product, whether you want to look here in the United States or around the world. Now, I think the question becomes between Kathleen and I, are we going to see U.S. dairy farmers continue to produce more milk? And we often say it often takes longer than you think. And especially with beef on dairy prices where they are and still very strong at the dairy, even though live cattle prices may have pulled back a little bit, calf prices remain fairly strong. That's going to provide revenue to dairy producers to keep the milk flow coming. I think the interesting thing, whether you want to go bullish or bearish on components, usually from a fat perspective, you have one of two ways. You can either improve the genetics or feed for it, or both. And I think the question is, will we slow down feeding? But the genetics are pre-baked. We're going to keep seeing more fat coming off of some of these animals just because that's hardwired into them. And then just generally more product. I think in particular, I'm a little bit more bearish on cheese, just given all the new capacity that's coming online. And we're not even done yet with all the new cheese plants coming on.
Erica, what about the international market? What are you seeing there?
Well, I think the challenge right now is Europe from a marketplace perspective, that they have had tremendous growth in milk and in solids. And if you look at their curve, just in terms of total milk production, they're charting a new course. Usually you're down at your seasonal low, and they have steadied, if not started to increase through the fall. So there is product that is uncommitted right now in Europe. Yes, the prices have come down and maybe stabilized, but at a much lower low. So I think the U.S. will have a challenge as we look to international markets, particularly for cheese. Butter, we've got a big enough gap right now that we should be competitive.
Jon, you mentioned this the other day, I think, hearing from a client. When you see kind of out of the blue, out of the dark, lightning bolts of production growth like we've seen in Europe, we're not talking like 1%. We're talking 3%, 4%, 5%. No one sold that product, right? They didn't say, oh, yeah, we're going to have 5% more milk, so we'll sell 5% out. And so all that stuff has to hit the market right away. And that's part of that's how you go from 2.25 European mozzarella to 145, 150 in just about 12, 13 weeks time. Is they didn't see the milk coming. And once they had it, they had to move the product.
I think I've heard somebody say before, it's not about how much milk I have, it's about how much milk I thought I was going to have. And I just get the sense that no one in Europe thought they were going to have this much milk. And that, to your point, Phil, it means it was uncontracted and unmarketed, and it's got to go find a home in the free-to-sell marketplace, and it has tanked prices in the EU complex. Okay, well, thank you to our panelists for your outlook. We really appreciate it. And every month, we ask Phil to bring us what we refer to as the favorite look. Phil, I'm excited to see what you brought to the table this month.
Jon, this is a topic that you and I have been talking about. I feel like our Ever.Ag Insights team has been on the forefront of the story. I think you've actually been at the forefront of the story in your social circles. Kathleen found some reporting from Gallup over the weekend that I find to be amazing. And so the favorite look is rising use of GLP-1 medications. Look, no surprise that rising adoption of products like Ozempic and Wegovy, the marketing, the talk. I'm not shocked to see the numbers higher, but what Gallup reported last week is that 12% of US adults are using GLP-1 medications. That's more than 1 in 10 people. That's double from where it was in Q1 of 2024. And so we are seeing, this is not a fringe thing anymore. Once you get to 10, 12% of American adults using these products, that's no longer fringe. That's eating into demand some way, somehow of certain products. And it's also encouraging demand for others. And so the fascinating thing about the GLP-1 story is it's not so great for some products, pizza, snack foods. It's been a tremendous boon for the whey story, as certainly one of the big, maybe the only bright spot in the dairy constellation right now. Big time adoption of these GLP-1 products. People eat 20 to 30% less calories when they're on them. They spend less money on food. And I think it's one reason that just sort of gross food tonnage demand doesn't seem to be that strong. Well, this is the kind of number that can move the needle that far.
So, Phil, I was curious when you said 12%. So that's, by my math, 31 million people taking one of these drugs, up from 13 million people if you were...
something in that neighborhood. We got to talk about adults. It's in that zip code. Well, they're all living in Jon's zip code, but...
Well, like I mentioned to you the other day, this is the time of year where we all start gathering at parties where we only see some people once a year. And I know last year, it was, you started to notice a noticeable change in some people. And it was a little bit under the table, like, oh, well, they're on GLP-1. And this year, it was astonishing to me how many people there was a noticeable change in, and no one seemed ashamed of it. There was I'm on GLP-1 and you should be too kind of attitude in the room. And it really kind of knocked me down. And at the same point in time, as I expressed to you, I just don't see how you can have that many people and not have a noticeable demand effect on food.
Can I just add a little quip? Because this is really
Yeah.
fascinating stuff, and I finally ran the numbers on it. So if we, per capita, 40 pounds per person per year, and you assume it cuts 20% of calories. So assume your 20% of your cheese consumption is cut. Very rough here. That's like 8 pounds per person per year less cheese.
Per GLP-1 user.
Yes, per GLP-1 user.
Yeah, well, and we've seen that per capita demand number flatten out in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Coincidence or not?
Well, I wouldn't say I was skeptical of your argument last year, Phil, but this year I'm convinced of it.
Now you've got FOMO.
Now I'm convinced.
You're the only guy in the room not using it.
Yes. Okay, before we close out for the day, Phil, you wanted to discuss some changes to the format that viewers can look forward to for next month.
Yeah, this is the 30th year, the 30th year of the research report and forecast update. And over those 30 years, it's taken on several different forms. And next month, we are going to switch formats again. We're going to bring the publications back together after being apart for a period of time. So we'll see a new research report forecast update combo, favorite looks, forecasts, a little in-depth discussion, a little tighter package coming on December 3rd, Wednesday, December 3rd, a new look for the research report and forecast update. Stay tuned.
Okay, that'll do it for this month's episode of Forecast Update Live. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you to everyone on the Ever.Ag Insights team for their work on the forecast. And thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you don't receive our forecast update and would like to subscribe, please reach out via email at insights@ever.ag. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, and share with a friend. We'll see you next month for another edition of Forecast Update Live.